Here are two ways to add a little extra to this pocket. You can add liquid glass, as I'm doing here in the first example. The piercing tool works great to clean up the edges. You can add stickles. You'll notice here, at first I couldn't get the stickles to come out, and then it came out real thick. But the piercing tool to the rescue for this as well. I was able to clean it up. And the third one I just left stamped as is. Such a fun way to add just a little extra to this pocket, and you can do these techniques on any of the images. Now we are ready to have some fun sanding. Look at this fun technique. It tells us here in the guide exactly how to do it. So you're going to want to find some sandpaper. I used an old sanding block that we had with Close to My Heart. They no longer make this one, but any sandpaper will work. You will want to be sure that you have a piece of scrap paper underneath and that you're working in a clean area, as I will show here in just a minute why that is important. See that line I'm getting in my paper? That's because there was a wrinkle in my scrap paper underneath. So everything that you have underneath your paper as you're sanding is going to show through. See those little dots? They were just little pieces of I don't even know what, but they're magnified when you sand it. So you're going to do in both directions. Start in one direction, and then you're going to do perpendicular the other direction, right? And again, I had little pieces of something underneath my paper, and it made those little marks. Now, this can be a super fun technique. As I was telling some ladies at my crop this weekend, if you put a paper clip or anything underneath your paper, when you sand it, it's going to show through. That is because the Close to My Heart paper has a white core in the center. See all the dust of the blue that's on my scrap paper? That is why it's important to put a scrap paper underneath. So my denim was a little bit more worn, but it worked just the same. Now we are ready to start doing some stamping. We are going to stamp the pocket here, just like I was showing in the beginning of the video. If you are going over this stamped image with liquid glass or with stickles, I would suggest using the Intense Black ink because, as you know, the Intense Black ink does not smear when you add liquid glass, marker, alcohol markers, or any of the other mediums over it. So Intense Black ink if you plan to go over this stitching. Now we're going to stamp the stitch lines on the pocket. Keep in mind that I am doing two cards here in this video, one for the workshop and one for the Creative Design Studio. You will want to do these techniques for every one of the cards that you are creating. I assume that you're probably creating all four. I realize that I'm off camera here, but give me just a minute and I will move it up for us. What I'm doing here is stamping the stitch lines on the belt. So we're going to do that on both the top and the bottom of the toffee piece. And I noticed on this one, I started on the dark side and I really should have started on the light side. The other thing is I noticed that it took me a second to get those lines, those stitching lined up. You know, I have such a hard time putting things straight these days with my vertigo, but I'll tell you, it worked out just fine because when you add the belt loops in, you don't really notice that my stitch lines were not straight. So, hey, it was hand stitched, I guess, and not used in a sewing machine. Now we are ready to start assembling card number 3, and this part is exactly per the workshop instructions. So even though I'm a little bit off camera here, you have all the directions in your guide on how to create this. But this part is just exactly per the workshop instruction. I decided to put my belt where my extra little sanding marks were to help cover that a little bit. But hey, everybody's jeans wear a little bit different. I know my husband's jeans wear the most up around the belt loops because he's constantly pulling his pants up. Be sure to add some foam tape to your pocket. That dimension really adds to this card. Look at how cute this is. I'm telling you guys, I love this pocket. So many different ways to use it. You can use it with different colored denim. You can use it with flowers in the pocket. You can make it masculine. You can make it feminine. It is such a great thin cut. I hope everybody is grabbing this set before it runs out. And you can see here, once I added my belt loops, that you really can't tell that my stitching lines were crooked there. I strategically planned where to put my belt loops. I got a little smudge on my belt there, and my rub and remove eraser to the rescue. That is a must-have in my crafting. I actually have one where I record videos and one in my to-go bag. It is a must. And this little tag there adds so much to this card. It's just like that finishing touch that it needs. But don't forget to add your little gold gems too. Those are super cute on that pocket. I'm telling you, this pocket, oh my goodness, I love it so much. Now to assemble the card per the Creative Design Studio, the only thing different that we're going to do is add the black glitter paper, the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of black glitter paper down on our card base before we add our denim piece. I tell you, I have such a hard time getting things straight. Everything else on this card is going to complete just the same way as we did per the workshop instruction, except for the black glitter paper, which really makes this pop. And I decided to add the stickles to the pocket stitching on this card. You could use stickles, you could use liquid glass, as I have shown earlier on in this video. Look how much that black glitter paper really makes this card stand out. And of course, we have to add our bling with those gold gems and that stickles. Super fun. I hope that you have enjoyed card number 3, and I look forward to seeing you in card number 4. Be sure to tell Barbara and I what you think about this new format with the shorter videos.